Waiting for the Canadian housing market to crash? Let's talk. I honestly don't think prices are going to get better anytime soon in Canada, at least not in our lifetimes. And when I say better, I mean more affordable, as much as we want, especially for those trying to enter into the market as first-time buyers. I don't think prices are going to come crashing down anytime soon. So what should you do if there is no crash? You're about to find out. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Danish, and I make personal finance, investing, and real estate topics easy to understand and keep up with. As grim as it may be, millennials, Gen Z, and those that come after are probably not going to stumble into a golden window to buy a home. The best window? Maybe today, based on what you can afford and wherever you can afford. If you're looking to see whether you can afford a home or not, I want you to try this exercise. Run your monthly budget numbers as if you already own a home that you're interested in and its associated costs. After you have all your income and expense items noted on that budget, see how much is left over. Do you have enough to put 15 to 20% into savings? If the answer is no, then you need to go back to those numbers and see what happens if you find a smaller property or maybe a city that's further away from a major urban center. I want you to keep running the numbers and scenarios until you reach a point where you can comfortably put away 15 to 20% into savings after all your expenses are covered. That's the home that would make the most financial sense. And later in the video, I'm going to talk about what can be done in order to level out this playing field. If I'm looking at 5, 10, 20, or even more, housing prices are probably going to be even more insane. More and more permanent homes are being converted into rentals or Airbnbs. The rate which new homes are being built is not even close to matching the increasing demand for them. And Canada's economy is way too reliant on real estate for it to ever go bust. It didn't happen in 2008 when the US real estate prices came crashing down. It didn't even happen during this global health pandemic, and it may not happen anytime in the foreseeable future. This is just the reality we face. I'm always asked, but what's going to happen when most of the young working generation can no longer afford to buy a home? Surely prices have to come down then, right? Unfortunately, no. Here's the thing. Wealthy investors will be more than happy to buy up as many homes as they can and rent them back to you. Canada is still considered to be a safe haven when it comes to real estate. There are many international and local investors who will keep the money flowing into Canadian real estate. In my opinion, this would be a lot more bearable if we were not centuries behind on transportation. I think people would gladly move out of the cities if we had faster trains or means of rapid public transportation. I'm going to expand on this thought a little bit later in the video, but first, I want to look at Toronto specifically. At the current market price, only the top 20% of Canadians can afford to buy a home in Toronto, unless it's a condo. The income required for a mortgage on a non-condo home reached $178,000 per year. That's about 132% of the median household income in Canada. For a typical condo in Toronto, it's estimated that an income of $124,000 per year is needed, which works to about 62% more than a median household currently makes. In other words, much of Canada's middle class can no longer afford to buy a home in Toronto, especially not on a single income. Back in 1990, an average Toronto home cost 4 times as much as the average income. Fast forward to today, now it costs 15 times the average income. And in that same period, rents have risen twice as fast as income levels. We're moving forward into a city that's only available for the very rich, or those in poverty who are eligible and can access government programs and community housing. Everybody in the middle is getting squeezed out, and it's painful to watch. Vancouver, on the other hand, not even the top 20% of Canadians can buy a non-condo home in Vancouver these days. It's estimated that you need a household income of at least $230,000 to carry a mortgage in the city these days. This is 223% higher than a median household income. Condos in Vancouver require a slightly more modest $128,000 to carry on a mortgage, which is about 78% higher than a median household income. My question to you is, can a city be exclusively populated by wealthy households? Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Montreal, on the other hand, Montreal is one of Canada's last affordable large cities. A non-condo home requires a household income of about $91,000 in order to carry on a mortgage, which is about 46% higher than a median household income. For a condo in Montreal, you need a household income of about $68,000, which is only 9% higher than the median household income. Income levels to purchase a home in Montreal is still above median incomes, just not nearly as much as they are in Vancouver or Toronto. I want to show you guys this graph on the Canadian household income required for a typical home. This is the minimum income required to buy a typical home in Canada's major cities as of Q4 2020. Vancouver is on the top of this list, where you need an income of $230,000 just to buy a home, followed by Victoria, where it's $181,000 for a non-condo home. Toronto, $178,000. Let's look at something else. Hamilton, $144,000. Ottawa, $110,000. Calgary, $97,000. Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Quebec City is one of the most affordable cities in the country, where you only need an income of $64,000 to buy a non-condo home and a condo of $44,000. To me, it's crazy to see the disparity between Quebec City and Vancouver. $64,000 versus $230,000. That's like $160,000 to $170,000 difference in an annual income just to buy a home. This, to me, is a graph that really captures the housing crisis in the country. Looking at the overall economics on this one, whether it's Toronto or Vancouver, workers are increasingly being pushed out of the city, where they have to cope with burdensome and expensive commutes. The economy does not care if you can buy a home, only if someone will buy it. There is a difference. There will continue to be no stop to landlords and foreign investors looking for new homes to add to their list. When they profit off those homes, they then purchase more homes, and that cycle, it just continues. This is how most real estate investing works. You put equity into one property, take the equity out sometime later, refinance, and recycle that equity into another property. Rinse and repeat until you amass as many properties as you would like. This is an oversimplification, but generally speaking, this is how the model works. I used to work for a public real estate investment trust, and this was the exact same model we use for commercial and industrial properties. It's a model that works. It's been time tested, whether you're investing in commercial properties, industrial properties, or residential. Looking back at 2020, why did the Canadian housing market go up even with a global health pandemic? In retrospect, the market was quite strong. The two biggest reasons are the government aid programs which came out, and also that financial institutions have made sure since 2008-2009 that they've got enough liquidity that they can keep lending even in the event of a crisis. Now, taking a step back, what's going to happen in the coming years? I think that the far more likely outcome is that there's going to be a gradual shift in our society's view of home ownership, one that I think has already started. Right now, many people think of home ownership as a milestone that one is meant to reach as they settle into their adult lives. I just don't think that future generations will have the privilege of thinking this way. I think that many will adopt the perception that renting for life is simply just the norm, and home ownership, while nice, is a privilege reserved for the wealthy, like owning a boat or a summer home. This is not a new phenomenon. This already happens in countries worldwide where renting is considered to be the norm. This concept is just now making its way to Canada's largest cities. Given the current state of the housing market, at best, I see a situation where the market says enough is enough. Prices have risen high enough that they will simply just be sustained. Young people will just have to accept the fact that they are simply not part of this game. At best, they might have to rely on their parents being homeowners themselves to have a chance of owning a property once they pass on. First-time homebuyers are the ones that are especially struggling because they're not already coming from properties that have already appreciated that they can use to trade in for another property. I know this all sounds pretty glum, but if you would like to share some positive light on the situation, please do so in the comments. But at this point, I'm completely disillusioned by homeownership at this point. Maybe I'm wrong and a crash does happen. Addressing the housing crisis in Canada will require all three levels of government and will also need the private and not-for-profit sectors. I say build fast trains everywhere, especially in high traffic areas like the Golden Horseshoe in Ontario. Build many of them. This would make coming in from Kitchener or Waterloo to your office in downtown Toronto for 2 days a week a breeze, and the rest of the days you work from home. The world is changing fast. To think that anyone needs to spend like $1.7 million on an old rundown home downtown just so you can take the streetcar to the office is something we should be moving away from. We need to look at all aspects to address the housing crisis in Canada. It doesn't just have to be build more homes. It can be a combination of building faster trains, investing in public transportation, renting for the longer term, and telecommuting. Early on in the pandemic, it seemed possible that the Canadian housing market would take a hit just like the broader economy has, and perhaps open up a window for first-time and younger buyers. It now looks like housing affordability is just one more thing the pandemic has made worse. I have links to promo codes in the description below for various discounts and sign-up bonuses. This helps directly support the channel, so please do check them out. If you have questions for me or feedback on this video, or maybe ideas on future content, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That's it for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.